Hello everyone and welcome to LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We're on board with your championship leader in the Alfa Romeo. They are racing permanently now. This is Pursoon, the F1.5 champion a few seasons ago. He's on his outlap to try and go for his first actual times run. We've got 12 minutes on the clock, just under actually, almost 11 minutes. So he's not got a massive amount of time regarding the fact that he's not set a lap, but other than that, he should be good to go. Devon Young and Peanuts, they are now F1.5 drivers, so they're not actually racing permanently in F1, but we do have the return of Chris Gitzoff, who's currently in the pit lane. He has set a lap just a few moments ago, but other than that, it's yeah, all looking pretty much similar as it was permanent driver wise. Korsman tops the time with 14.8. We should be getting close to the 13s if we can. That is what people are going to be aiming for, so we've got a long way to go in this session. Track evolution will be quite crucial. It is a high downforce circuit, so that means grip and track evolution will be even more enhanced or amplified compared to some other circuits you might see. Purple middle sector right here. He's going to get impeded though as Pursoon, as the Mercedes moves out the way at the last second. He did still get a fairly decent corner, but it's definitely going to be distracting for him. He's not going to be happy with that one. Up the hill we go, and we got the next chicane coming up. Absolutely send it. The Send chicane, it is nicknamed. Over the yellow curbs as hard as he possibly can, and then try and catch the car as you exit. They did a fairly decent job, and then they've got a couple more corners to go. Down the hill, very easy to lock up the tyres as you go down this corner, into this corner, with gravity working against you. Out the final corner, takes it very nicely. You're going to keep it to the right hand side to minimise track distance. Across the line, it's going to be provisional pole by 4/10. So you can see the track is definitely evolving, and everybody is going to be able to start improving their lap times. Korsman is on course to set another lap. We will watch on board to the sector line, and you can see half a second up on their current time, so that's going to be a 0.3 that they will be doing, so they'll be a little bit over Pursoon. They've still got most of the lap to go to improve or to mess up. They do a very good job at keeping that nice and tidy, and they weren't impeded on that inside corner. Very, very planted as they go through I've forgotten what it's called. Aqua Minerale. There you go. Very planted through there. Sending it over the curb. Cutting it as much as you possibly can. Don't want to do that in a real F1 car. You will break it. And then we've got the downhill, uphill section coming up. He's got a car just moving out the way. He will be absolutely good to go. Riding the entry curbs. Very, very, very difficult in real life, but you can do that in this game. Just opening the corner as much as you can do. And that is going to be provisional pole almost into the 13s, 0.0, and that's going to be what everybody else wants to look for this session, including this man, Zingy. He's on 0 laps right now, on an actual flying lap. What can he do? Not leading the World Championship, which is not normal for Zingy. He's probably not going to be happy about that. I don't know when the last time he actually didn't lead the championship. It was probably 2-3 seasons ago maybe now that he didn't lead the championship. So yeah, it's been a long time since this has actually came about. Tom Brainer does leave the session, so unfortunately we are going to have to pause once we see Zingy finish his lap, and then we will just double check and get Tom back into the lobby. We'll continue as we are though, and then we'll go and check on with somebody else's lap after that. Downhill they go. Lovely jubbly. Zingy's got a few more corners, and you really want to make sure that you keep it tidy. The pressure really kicks in as you get to those final corners. Really keeping it far to the right, almost going into the pit lane. That's going to be a 0.3. So very close to Pursoon, but a little way off to Korsman there. Alright, we will be back in a second. Just going to quickly sort something out with Tom Brainer, so I do apologise for the delay, but it shouldn't take too long, hopefully. Alrighty, do that. And there. No, that's not it. Not available for us to invite, so we'll give it a minute, and then hopefully he comes online so we can invite him. But other than that, we'll get back to the racing for a few minutes. I say racing, qualifying for a few minutes. And then we'll get to the top of what's going on with him. His PC's crashed. Okay, so yeah, we'll invite him in a minute or two to allow things to get booted back up again. Beckon P4, Peanuts, their good old friend, in P6 now, as that is, who was that? Heischler, moving up the order with a 0.5, very close to Pursoon. Peanuts goes and demotes Beckon as they leave the F1.5 EU Championship, immediately being displaced by Nifojam by the smallest of margins. That is a brilliant job there from Nifo, making his way up, trying to make sure he gets as close to his teammate as possible. They are working together in this championship, so it's always good if you can be close together so you can double attack another driver. Top 3 looking very similar as it was at the beginning of the Spanish Grand Prix, the first round last weekend. That didn't end up that way, of course. Korsman getting the strategy very wrong, and Zingy struggling with the strategy, allowing Pursoon to get that P1. So, yeah, all a bit of a mix-up. And then we do have Heischel, who's now P2 in the championship, despite finishing 3rd. Getting that podium is enough to put him there. Of course, Devon Young moving down to reserve driver. Not setting a lap so far, so he's got a little bit to go. If he wants to improve. We're going to go on board with one of the best in Mollis, as he did fairly decent job on debut, but it just didn't go quite the way he wanted it to. Hopefully he can have a bit of better luck this time around. And I don't know, safety cars weren't very common. They might be a little bit more common around this circuit. Very, very easy to lose the car. It might bring people back into the race if you have mistakes, or not mistakes, issues like he did in the race before. But hopefully he doesn't have that. Got to be careful with those track limit extensions. He can't afford to do that too much, otherwise he'll get himself a penalty. We have Chris Gitsoff, who has already done a lap. We will continue with Mollis, as he will be setting or starting their lap next. Devon Young is also going to be starting what will be likely their final lap. I don't know if they're going to get another one in, unfortunately. It's going to be a little bit sparse to do so. That being said, looking at 4 minutes, we're going to have to get Tom Brainer back in the lobby, so I do apologise for this delay, but we should be alright to get him in. I do apologise. There you go. Right. He's been sorted. Alright, Mollis on his lap. Let's see, what can he do? Up the hill, out the hairpin, very tight as he's backed off on this one already. So we are going to change our view to this man right here, who's going to start his first lap, having a very, very strong opening race in Spain until the final few laps, after having a very controversial and big incident which took him out the points in the end. Heck of a shame, but it's the way it goes sometimes, and he's now going to get a little sneak peek of this weekend's race, so he can kind of get himself dialed in for tomorrow. Hopefully he can perform well there, as he has done, and brought us a lot of entertainment, that is for sure. Making his way up the hill, fast left-handers, that's this turn 9, turn 10ish kind of area. It's very easy to invalidate. You just want to try and open up the steering, allow the car to bring itself wide. That's what's going to gain you the most speed on the curb. You have to use that rumble strip as much as you don't want to use it, because it will chuck the car about. But he's got it done. Over the centre chicane, get the car in a straight line, then the power down. And a lovely job. Away we go, using the ERS on hot lap mode, down the hill, braking just before the marker board. Out to the final corner, almost getting into the gravel. A little bit tentative on the exit there as he had to try and avoid it. He goes P9 to 14.9, and that is probably going to be it for Devon Young. I don't think he's going to get another lap in, unfortunately. We do have a lot of people all on their way out of the pit lane right now. You can see there's traffic. It is going to be pretty busy. Everybody trying to go for that final run. Dave Raptor's leaving the pit lane. He's got the Aston Martin of, is that Peanuts or Eager Pro in front of him? I think that might have been Eager Pro, as he's just been classed as leaving the pit lane, whereas Peanuts hasn't left the pit lane just yet. Lots of people all out. We've got the highest driver on the grid on their lap first. We will go with Pursoon. The other guys we will go on board with later on, of course. Looking strong so far. Bit of a wobble though. That's not going to gain him any time as he's virtually dead on his lap time right now. Dead in meaning that he is pretty much exactly the same. Got McLaren diving out the way in an interesting fashion. That will be Dave Raptors, who maybe wasn't realising that Pursoon was right there. Those two having some very interesting history from past races. Got some traffic up in front, which is incredibly distracting yet again. Pursoon having more issues. He's still improving, but it's really not going to help when you have that kind of distraction on your lap. He would be able to displace Zingy temporarily. Zingy will be trying to fight back for the final moments of qualifying to make sure he gets a front row on the grid, which I think, did he miss out on, I think, possibly last weekend, or did I get that wrong? Did he go pole? I can't remember. Anyway, DRS across the line. What's it going to be? It's going to be a P2. It's going to be 2 tenths improvement and a 0.2 as well. Zingy, purple middle sector, improving by 2 tenths itself. He's looking to try and get to the 13s by the end of the lap. This is what he needs to do if he wants to beat Korsman in the Williams. Korsman has just started their final lap, so they will be going late on into the session to set a lap time that is pretty self-explanatory, and me repeating myself. Sun chicane, very tidy on the exit, perfectly positioned on the throttle. There's Norris retiring from the session. He will not continue, and that's going to be a P8 or lower for them. Final few corners, bit of a lock-up on the front left there for Zingy, easily done. Doesn't really seem to slow him down too much. DRS available for the final time. Is it going to be pole position for Zingy? It will be a 13.9, almost half a second improvement. And that's Korsman, who's invalidated. He will not be able to improve. Heischler, will he be able to? He is invalidated. Nefojan's invalidated. So easy to invalidate. We've got Peanuts. It looks like their delta's not that strong. We'll go just towards the chicane to have a look and make sure that it's showing a correct time. It is showing a correct time. We've got Becken, who is looking maybe a bit stronger. That is going to be qualifying almost over. It's looking like Zingy could secure this very easily. Becken, P7, a 14.8, looking to try and get in front of Peanuts Nipojan as well. Might he be able to get in front of Heischler? That's possible. But P5 is what he's looking at the moment. Final few corners to finish off qualifying. What's it going to be for Becken? So close to track limits on the exit. Across the line, DRS. And it's not going to be an improvement. He messed up that final sector. That will be that. Zingy is on pole position once again. And at Imola, one of his favourite circuits, he's looking to try and win the Grand Prix. We didn't race here last season. It wasn't on the calendar. We raced here the season before that. Nifojan, his teammate, won that race, as Zingy was very close in P2 behind. A very epic battle that you can go and watch on one of our shorts. But other than that, I think Zingy's won pretty much every single Imola Grand Prix before that. So we'll find out. We will find out. What can he do? Is he going to be able to secure a victory here? That is Zingy on pole position, Korsman in P2 and Pursoon in P3. The top three as they were last time around in Spain. We'll go through the grid just to quickly make sure we get everything through the race director and the instant section, and then we'll be back for the race, the sprint race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We are finally away. Zingy gets away well. Korsman, not so much. The Alfa Romeo's going to come through. He's going to get the toe into the first corner. He might be able to challenge Zingy. He is going to go to the inside line. He's not going to quite have it. He spins. There's contact. And Heischler, he'll go through into P2 immediately. Oh, what a shame for Pursoon. He tried with all his might, but it's not going to work out. Zingy already over 1 second gap in the lead. He's going to be gone. That's going to be perfect for him. Becken P5. He's going to car on the inside. The other Ferrari. The two Ferraris trying to make gains early on in the Grand Prix. Not quite, going to have to back off. We've got the two McLarens trying to fight here with Peanuts up in front as Chris Gitsov is in front of Dave Raptors, and he is going to get in front of Peanuts as well. Peanuts making big mistakes. Has he got damage? He does have damage. There must have been something that we didn't see earlier on. That must have been when the Mercedes that would explain why they are so far back. Dave Raptors and Gitsov splitting up. Good to see Gitsov on the grid, but he's not having a great race as he's already got himself a 3-second time penalty on the opening lap. Talking about the opening lap, Zingy will lead after lap 1. Heischler's brought back the gap actually, so that's very interesting. Doing a great job right there. Korsman 1 second away from Heischler just in front. That's Bassoon getting through. He's not holding back whatsoever. Is that Korsman with damage? It is Korsman with damage. So that contact on the opening lap with Bassoon must have caused a pretty unfortunate moment. Becken isn't going to want to wait around with that Williams up in front, and he's going to want to try and get through. He can see that the Williams is struggling. He will absolutely send it to the inside line, and that's going to work perfectly. What a move there. Gilly, he's going to have to find a way through sooner rather than later, otherwise he will be in trouble. Got no pressure from behind, but he will lose out to the other guys in front if he's not careful. That is Dave Raptors struggling as he drops just behind Mollisner, and that is Peanuts and Devon Young, who must have pitted just earlier on, making those early stops. So Devon must have been involved in an incident as well. Gilly really cutting that inside curve, and it didn't work out for him on the exit, so he's just going to lose that run. Korsman will be able to survive on the straight, of course. Becken not quite within DRS range. Heister's holding on for dear life. There'll be DRS enabled this lap, but it won't actually be available until the next lap, because you need to go a tyre way round to actually get to this one DRS straight, which is the start-finish straight. That is the only one available on this circuit. It will be the main opportunity to make an overtake as well. Very hard to overtake up this circuit. You need all the confidence in the world, and that's what makes the softer tyres so powerful. Zingy going for that medium tyre to start the Grand Prix on. Lots of people doing that. It's soft to mediums, it looks like. Will anybody actually go to the hards? It's what we saw in the Netherlands. People really didn't want to go to the hards because the softer compound, despite dying, is just so superior. Igor in front of Nifo-Jan. Nifo's so close, having to tuck in. You've got Tom Brainer who wanted to have a look there on the softer tyre. That's Nifo-Jan going off the circuit. Everybody seems to be missing an M plate from somewhere, and Tom Brainer will go through. Korsman already getting a 3-second time penalty as Gilly cannot get through despite being on that faster tyre. He needs to push a little bit harder, find a bit more pace if he can, but other than that, he's not going to find any progress. Talking about progress, Heischler's caught up a lot to Zingy now. He might be challenging for the lead if Zingy is not careful. We go on board with the drivers. Pursoon an equal distance behind, but in the DRS train, no ERS would be used. I don't think it's worth it from Heischler. He wouldn't be catching enough to really go for a safe move. It would be a bit of a risky one. He's going to wait until next lap and then try and go for an actual proper move. Get it done before the straight ends so he can fully secure it. That is Eager Pro right behind Tom Brainer, looking for the switchback. A classic move. Former champion against Tom Brainer. It's not going to be easy. He's got all the experience in the world. Very good job. Great to see Igor making that move. And Tom Brainer will be able to come back a little bit later on, but he can't leave it too long because those tyres will die. Got 3 former champions on the grid, including this guy returning to LSI. Great to see him, and I'm sure we'll be able to see some great battles. The more experience he gets in this game after having a few seasons out, of course, not racing in the 22 game whatsoever, but I don't blame him for that one. Becken's caught up to the pack now. Korsman is the furthest one away. He's got that damage. It is understandable, of course. Do not blame him whatsoever, but the top 4 are fighting. That being said, Zingy has just picked up the pace. He knows that Heischler would have been endangering him if he didn't break it away, and that is now going to be DRS not available for Heischler. It's going to be available for Pursoon, but he's not really going to be in an attacking situation. He would if he really wanted to send it hard, and he will send it hard. It's never going to work. like that corner. What a shame. He's going to be right on the racing line. Tried to avoid it, but what a shame for Pursoon. He doesn't get damage. It's a lucky escape. He's down to P6 and he's still on decent tyres, but yeah, that was a hell of a send, and unfortunately you're gonna have to get the car slowed down so much more than that. We'd need to see a replay before we make a decision, but yeah, a hell of a send. It was always going to be very difficult. Becken will lose DRS range now, because now there's not a car in between to bring that train together. He needs to find a bit more pace if he does want to get in DRS of Heischler, which I'm sure he can do, but that does mean that the top three are all split up, as Zingy has a bit of breathing space, just a little bit. Heischler going off the circuit as he tries to push as much as he possibly can. He did get a purple sector, but did lose a 10th to the AlphaTauri. Zingy looking even more promising to go for the lead of the Grand Prix, so they are loving life at the moment where they are. P1, it's where they belong, it's where they've been proven to be. 5 times a champion in LSI, 4 times in a row. It's all golden for now, and they will be looking at gaining the championship lead as it stands right now. This man is trying to make progress immediately. He's looking for the switchback. He's looking for aggression against Gilly. The tyres are going to start to be a lot better for him. It is only a sprint, so he doesn't have long to make these moves. It should be straightforward to get past Korsman with the damage, Pursoon not having that damage. Becken is going to be a little bit harder to catch. Not impossible, but yeah, a fair bit harder. Heischler maybe making a mistake because he loses time to Zingy, but Becken gains the time. That would explain a little bit right there. Becken not quite doing enough to get DRS range, but they're not too far away either. Looks like Pursoon hasn't caught up as much as they would probably like to send it in a corner to make that overtake, but they will have a good chance at making an overtake on the straight. That being said, he's actually going to let him go, which is slightly illegal, but I don't think he's going to be able to come back at him, so it's not going to end up that illegal anyway. He's not using the ERS to come back through, but he will come back through, so yeah, not great. No, he's lifting off, so he is actually just letting Pursoon go, so fair enough. He doesn't want to actually hinder him. He knows it will probably make it more difficult. That being said, Pursoon, I'm sure, would have had a pretty easy move at just making it stick anyway, so I don't think it would have mattered that much whatsoever. Becken is nice and close to the back of Heischler, so the contest for the lead will once again be on. That is good news to hear, so we can get a good battle. That is the lead of that train, at least, that battle. The lead is looking a little bit difficult at the moment, even though 2 seconds isn't much in overall life. It's pretty big in the realm of racing. Eager Pro is nice and close to the back of Gilly, who is nice and close to the back of Korsman, who is nice and close to the back of Pursoon. So we've got a big old train right here. Tom Brainer dropped off a little bit, having a time penalty as well to his name, which is not easy. He might be able to come back a little bit later. Gilly trying to run these soft tyres. They're not doing too bad, to be honest. But yeah, Eagle, he will start to get quicker and quicker with these tyres. He'll look to make that move over Korsman as well anyway. Becken is going to go for the move on Heischler, and these are 4 positions, even though Becken is an EU driver. In the F1 World Championship, where you finish is where you finish. Slightly different to the LSI F1.5 Championship. Heischler hits the curb and will be round. He spins. What a shame. And he rejoins on the racing line. He's not going to be happy with that one. Probably get himself a slight warning for that, and he'll spin again with those really hot tyres. What a shame. Out the points. That promotes Nifajan to the points. Chris Gitsov is looking to try and make that change, but he does have a time penalty. As long as he continues to push, Nifajan might get a penalty, but right now it's not looking easy. P8 is where you want to be. That is going to be Nifa going off the circuit, so what I was talking about might actually happen, and these guys could have an epic battle. Well, it's getting the 3 second, and a big snap of oversteer from Gitsov right there, using a bit of energy to try and catch back up right there. What a shame. That is going to be the top 3 now. Split up. Nifo does get a 3-second time penalty. I wasn't hoping it happened. He's also got no energy, so he's not really going to be able to defend that easy. He has just picked up the pace though, so he's done a great job right there, looking to try and defend on a straight. He's got a little bit of ERS to try and boost him at the beginning of the straight, but that's going to be Gitsov with DRS, ERS. He will be through. There's no question about it. There's going to be no contest. Gitsov makes the move. What a sentence to say. For such a long time, we haven't been able to do that. And yeah, it's a pleasure to see him race. That is move done. But Nifo's going to be very close, I'm sure. They're all equal on time penalties, so it is going to be an interesting one. Heichler might be able to catch them. If they go off the circuit like that, it would be very difficult. That's going to be Igor losing a position. I don't know what the yellow was for. Maybe spun? Yeah, well, there's Gilly and Igor both losing out a lot of time, so maybe they've had an incident. Igor did give up that position to Gilly. He'll be able to come back up him a little bit later, sliding through the corner. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happened there. Tyre-wise, Igor should have the advantage, but Tom Brain has been brought into the equation, so these guys have lost a significant amount of time, and they might even lose out to Korsman if they're not careful, who is looking at a P4. He's actually very close to the back of Pursoon as well, which is a brilliant job from him despite having that damage. So fair play indeed. Igor will get the move done on Gilly on the straight. Finally gets the job done, but he is way too far back from Korsman. He might be able to catch up these later stages, but 3.4 seconds is not going to be easy. He's only got a lap and a bit to really do that. Which, the car in front does have damage, so it should be possible, but yeah, Korsman's pretty quick regardless, so it will never be so straightforward. Heichler is behind Mollis. Unfortunately, he is still close though, so he might be able to catch up once he's had that spin. Those tyres just hotter and hotter and hotter, and yeah, it's pretty much impossible to get back into the race. He just needs to try and relax and then maybe get this move done on the final opportunity, but it's not for points. It will be for track position though, as we will get to, of course, the main race, but he doesn't have a time penalty, whereas the car in front does, so he will gain that track position regardless. A 3-second time penalty for that is Dave Raptors, who has got more issues, unfortunately. These two, Devon Young and Peanuts, fighting out at the back after their issues on the opening laps, but they should be okay to go. Zingy's going to lead the way for the final lap. We'll go and check in on him later on. We'll go and check in on Korsman and Pursoon. Are they going to be fighting? No ERS. He's not going to be able to get there before the DRS zone. We will see Gilly have a look to the inside, but he backs off. He had every right to be there, but he's backed off. He's lost the rear. That's not going to be Tom Brainer close enough. That will be Tom Brainer making a mistake, and it will be Gitstov getting in front, but he's not desync. No, it's not. That's actually Dave Raptors being lapped. I do apologise for mixing that one up. Gilly is probably losing out on opportunities to make an overtake now, so that will be them in a very big spot of trouble. I think that was their only opportunity to get it done, but they opted not to. Igor realised soon enough, and he took the racing line anyway, as Gilly did back up so early. So yeah, what a shame, but he gave it a shot. At least for sure. Alrighty, we come around the final few corners with this man. He's done a perfect job in the sprint. Zingy is going to win the sprint race in Imola. He will start from P1 in the main race. Not a bad way whatsoever. We're going to get Becken in P2, and then Pursoon will take P3 to add 6 points to his name, to his championship. Still, for now, leading the championship. Korsman P4, phenomenal drive, as he does manage just to get in front of Igor. With that time penalty, of course. Gilly P6, Tom Brainer will get P7, Gitsov P8, and we've got Nifo Jan fighting as hard as he could to get that final point, but it won't be enough. Mollis recovering to P10, Heichler down in P11. Devon Young is right there, very, very close indeed, but he won't quite. Oh no, it's not. Sorry, it's Peanuts very close to Devon Young. Mixing that one up. I do apologise, but that is that done. Lots to take, lots going on. Igor Pro again, driver of the day, making some great moves that we saw earlier on in the Grand Prix. We will see the results just for a moment. Zingy takes the win, Becken in P2, Pursoon, Tyus Korsman, Eager Pro, Gilly, Tom Brainer, Chris Gitsov, Nifajan, Mollis, Heisler, Peanuts, Devon Young and Dave Raptors finishes the grid. No one DNFing in the sprint race. We'll get to the main race in a short moment. The instant section, the pit stops sections will be next, of course. There you go. We'll be back for the race. We'll see you in a bit. Ready, hold, go! Who's going to get it into turn one? We have a few disconnects. Pursoon's AI will get a brilliant launch, but he will soon drop back. Nifajan also disconnecting. Hopefully he can get back in to this race. That is Zingy leading the way. Pursoon's going to have to get out the way. Otherwise they're going to be in a bit of trouble. It's a hell of a shame they will drop back and let Zingy go. They are going to have to let some others go, but he's fighting the position. He's going to spin out. He's going to lose the positions. He will end up where he was anyway. Becken's going to lose out big time though. Not too sure what happened there. It's all a little bit of a mess. Nifo goes to the back of the grid despite disconnecting, so I don't know how. His AI didn't jump the start either, but anyway, it is what it is. Zingy leads the way, Korsman, and then Pursoon. Eager Pro in P4 at the moment. Then we've got Tom Brainer P5, and he's very close to the back of that Aston, pushing him up the hill basically. Not going to go for the inside line. He's not going to try and send it on the brakes. The Alpine was having a look of Devon Young, who's up to P6 from basically being at the back of the field. Absolutely incredible. You've got a gaggle of cars just up in front of us, as we can see. A few side-by-side moments. That's Tom Brainer on the inside. That is going to be Becken, going to try and look for making a move on the exit. Big mistake there from the Red Bull. Will they be willing to use the ERS early on? They might find themselves challenging the cars in front if they aren't careful. Tom Brainer, though, looks like they want to have a bit of the Aston Martin. They will have a quick dive to the inside. They will also try and move back to the racing line, which is going to cause big problems for the Red Bull, and it's going to allow Becken to go straight around the outside. There's also going to be more problems as he'll have the Ferrari to deal with, and that was Dave Raptors who wanted to have a look at Heisler, eventually lag a little bit, get to the inside line, riding the inside curve, which loses him a little bit of momentum on the exit. The Ferrari just about gets an advantage, but not compared to the medium tyre on the inside. He'll sweep through. That is Dave Raptors. Job done. Losing the car on the exit, pushing to the absolute limit. We got a long train and a big mistake. Tom Brainer spins. There's contact with the Red Bull. There's also a little bit of a problem with the Alpine. Hopefully he doesn't have damage. Doesn't look like it. He's getting challenged left, right and centre though. That's going to be Peanuts on the inside making that move. Lost a bit of momentum on the exit himself, but no challenge back from Devon Young. He's gone from the back of the grid to the front to the back. It's been a roller coaster of a ride from this man. Korsman leads the way. He manages to get in front of Zingy. No damage this time for him. So he is going to have an opportunity to get a good result. And this is where the big points are scored. So it's exactly what he needs to be doing. And he does get a second life. That was Devon Young with damage, unfortunately. So what a shame for him. A few switch ups into the first few corners of the third lap of the Grand Prix. DRS isn't available just yet. It will be available on the next lap. But they're still making those moves. Absolutely incredible. A big send to the inside from Dave Raptors on Eager Pro. He is a F1.5 champion versus an F1 champion. Doesn't get the job done, and now he's going to lose out a lot here to the Mercedes. They're so close on entry. There's basically touching the Ferrari of Heisler, trying to stick his nose around the outside. Wasn't really invited. Was pretty far behind, but he still left the space, Nifo. He's now going to get a good run on the Mercedes. Is he going to challenge it? He will not challenge it. No attempts there on Dave Raptors in the end. Just couldn't quite get the job to stick. He'll have to sit behind for a while, but actually that is the AlphaTauri just trying to put the pressure on and force the car in front into a mistake if he could. We go on the start finish straight with Zingy. Is he going to try and challenge for the lead immediately, or is he going to let Korsman be as he is. He is going to go into the leader Grand Prix. Korsman's going to not let that go immediately, and Pursune's going to get into the fight. We're going to go a bit further down the order. Chris Gitzoff retires in the pit lane. No safety car will be deployed. We've got a big switch up, as that is Becken trying to hold on, but a massive bit of oversteer from Igor as they will touch. Dave Raptors wants to try and get involved, but they can't quite do it just yet. Big bit of lag there. Oh, who was that? I think that was, yeah, must have been Nifojan lagging a little bit. You've got the outside line here for the McLaren as he goes up the hill. Didn't get the momentum. He will have to stay as he is. Despite being on that faster tyre, it's just not going to quite work out for him just yet. Lovely jubbly from these guys. He's having a quick look to the inside line to spot his braking point as he gets into the corner. And a big mistake yet again. It's very treacherous in the opening stages of the Grand Prix. And that will be Becken down to P7. Side by side into the chicane with the Mercedes. It's a bit pushy and shovey. They eventually get the job done. Up in front, Dave Raptors looking for the move on Nifojan. They're going to get it before the straight. Nifo already flashing. So, oh no, 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 no. Where's he gone? That's not the circuit. Dave Raptors is going to lose everything immediately. Working so hard. Becken's into the pit lane after maybe a bit of damage. That's why they were dropping back so far. Dave Raptors is going to have the momentum to stay in front, and it's going to be Heichler. It's also going to be Gilly who's dipping wheels into the grass. Surely he's not going to make the corner with that, but he did make it. Phenomenal stuff from him. At the rear of this train is one Aston Martin. At the lead of this train is another. There's a big squabble of cars. Right now, the top three are running away with it. Brilliant stuff. Side by side, we've got the Mercedes getting very, very tasty. The championship leader of the F1.5 tier trying his best to make moves in this race as he struggled in the sprint race. Mollis lets it go, and we do apologise for the dog in the background. We continue though, the top three leading the way as they are all in DRS range. Big mistake there from the Mercedes. I'm sure they'll be able to catch up. Everybody is in a little bit of a DRS train, so it's not that straightforward, but because there's more corners than straights like this circuit, you can most likely catch up with everybody being in dirty air. They kind of bunch up basically. The top two of this train are slightly breaking away, but Dave Raptors just does enough to make sure he stays within DRS range. That'll be a great help. Nifojan's going to make the move, so these two are going to have a minimal fighting, minimal time loss, which makes it slightly more difficult for Dave Raptors to catch up. He's going to have to use all the energy that he can to make that worthwhile. Heichler not getting past the McLaren, so can't quite exploit his pace, but to be honest, Dave Raptors done a phenomenal job there, and he is pretty quick in this car. That is going to be Pursoon making a mistake. He's going to lose time to the cars behind, and he's going to lose basically 2.5 seconds to the lead drivers as Zingy is sticking to the back of Korsman's gearbox. And yeah, Pursuit's not going to be happy at that one. That would... Oh, no. Oh, that's a big mistake from Dave Raptors. He's going to lose out. I do not believe it. All of that making his way up the order as Devon Young did earlier on, and now he's lost it. What a shame. Luckily he doesn't have damage, so he is good to go, but it's just not what you want. He's lost temperature, well, he's gained temperature in the tyres. It's gained too much temperature in the tyres. He's going to get trouble from Tom Brainer as well. With those tyres being so hot, it's just going to be so difficult to get good traction at the final few corners. That being said, it is an 8-tenth gap, so it's not going to be that straightforward to catch up. We've got Heichler looking to fight. No, not fight. Not Heichler. It's Nifojan splitting or switching with Igor. No one else switching, but it is going to be someone else switching as Peanuts gets a very on the limit move. Well done. But yeah, Gilead to back off pretty aggressively. Peanuts gets into P7. And Heichler is going to be up next if he can get the job done. But yeah, Gilly's not going to be too happy with that one. It looked like it was somewhat okay from our camera angle, but we can't quite tell until we check later on, unfortunately. I think he leads the way for the first time in a while now from pole position at the start of this Grand Prix. On a 4-tenth gap for Korsman. So they're more or less having very similar pace, despite the DRS strain. They are staying with each other, and it's going to be a marathon and then a sprint at the very end to decide who gets that win. It's also going to be interesting pit stop wise, because they will have to follow each other very closely and react to one another. Heischler is going to be nice and close to the battle in front. He might be able to challenge within a few laps. These guys aren't going to switch this time around. If they're trying to use this as an opportunity to save ERS. Now he has DRS and he also has threats from behind. So he needs that ERS if he wants to fight later. And when you get to the all-important pit stop range, you will need that. We're going to go to the tyre situation just to have a look. Very, very colourful mix. Niffo on that soft tyre. Really going out there. Becken has recently pitted onto that soft tyre, which is explaining the fastest lap, but it is a bit of a confusing tyre to go for at the beginning of this race. Devon Young has gone for a more standard tyre, hoping maybe for a safety car to kick in a little bit later on. Kortman, P1, Zingy, P2. So close margins between the top two. We'll go on board and have a quick look as the challenges not really heating up, to be honest. They're kind of just relaxing. Even though it's up the front and the stakes are high, you kind of just sit there and work together. In that regard, you relax, but when you are quick drivers, it does make it a little bit more intense. As you can see, they know what they're doing. They'll just let each other go. They're not going to fight. It would be stupid. However, these guys, there's a lot more at stake regarding positions, because if you don't fight, you're going to lose 2 positions rather than just 1 and still be able to fight for the lead. So they have to kind of fight and work almost together, but also fight a little bit as well. If you're P2 in the train, you'll have a severe advantage compared to the others. Otherwise, it's going to be super difficult. Ilias lost out a bit, unfortunately. These guys are on hard tyres except from Niffo. Niffo at some point will be the weak link of this train. For now, he's done a very good job, and he has tried to pull the pin a bit by getting back in front of Igor, so maybe looking to make a pit stop this lap. That might be why he's gone for the lead of the train, so he can use all of his pace now and then, yeah, just go into the pits. That will give Igor DRS, even if Niffo does go into the pit lane, which will help him defend from Heischler. That being said, he won't have a tow, whereas Heischler would, so he'll still have an advantage and might be able to go for the lead of the train. Yeah, Niffo's got to be going into the pit lane, surely. They're pushing so much right here into the pit lane. No, it will not go. They're going to stay out. They realise that gap is so big that they might as well use it for now to try and extend their tyres. ERS is being used to the maximum. Egapro is going to go back for the move. What a move there, using all the pace, and also the other Aston Martin getting through on Heischler. That's absolutely perfect. Peanuts is looking to follow through immediately as they just try and spot their braking point. They know those tyres in front of them are very old. Racy earlier on making the overtake on one of the Ferraris, Racy making the overtake on the other, and now that is Nippojan ready. Next on the menu, come on, third meal on the menu, the pudding is here. Then he's got his teammate to try and get past. It's going to be a little bit more, you know, relaxed. You've got to respect your teammate. You can't just push him out the way. But yeah, we'll see. Will Niffo just take this as an opportunity to go into the pit lane? I don't quite know. I expected him to go into the pit lane last lap. It might be that he goes into the pit lane this lap because it would be a bit more of a straightforward situation. But yeah, P10 or lap 10 old tyres would be also very possible. Not into the pit lane, so he's going to go for one more. And try and extend his tide as much as he possibly can. So DRS will be available. That will be pretty straightforward. Peanuts is going to be too far to make an overtake. The Ferraris are way back on this straight, so they're not going to be switching whatsoever. That was a pretty straightforward move right there. Niffo not quite getting as far in front as he probably would have wanted into the first corner, but it doesn't really matter to him because he is in front ultimately. Peanuts is going to be on his toes right now, trying his absolute best. He wants to try and get in front of his teammate, but in a nice way. He showed mega pace so far. That was a big lump of grass on the side. of Igor's tyres there as he was pushing to the limit on track limits. Peanuts is going to see that, of course. Heischler just recently got himself a penalty, unfortunately, which is going to plague his race later on, but it seemed, according to the sprint race, lots of people are getting penalties, so actually he probably doesn't need to worry as much compared to other circuits, maybe, as others might get those penalties. There are fairly chunky curbs, but it's still possible with some of the high-speed curbs to go over those track limits. Pit lane will not be the decision for Nifojan again. This time, though, it will be an overtaking opportunity here for Peanuts. He's not gaining quite as much by the time he gets to the end of the straight. He's going to be boxed in. Igor does go defensive. He's so close to the back of Nifo. Nifo losing the car. There might have been contact. He's now going to try and come through as well. He'll go around the outside. He's still going to be boxed in. Nifo's on the inside. He couldn't quite get there to Igor. He eventually gets that move done. We're also going to have the Ferrari throwing a move to the inside. Nifo having that issue. Now he's going to drop like a fly. He has no grip on those tyres. It might have been a genuine mistake. It might have been that he was distracted from the car having a quick look to the inside, but it might have been contact. We won't know until we look at the replay, but that, regardless, is him down the order. He's going to have to make this a pit stop, surely. He has to go in to the pit lane now. Gilly is right behind this train as well. They will have saw that happen. They will know that they're going to be able to make that move at some point soon. They're going to see that their teammate is all over the place, but not enough for Nifo to actually catch up whatsoever. The two Aston Martins are going to be in an interesting situation looking to fight. They've also got Pursuit up ahead, who is on a different strategy, which, according to general rule of thumb, the hard tyre, starting on the hard tyre, allows you to gain a lot more. Interesting that Nifo's continuing. The Aston Martins will switch. I assume maybe he's continuing because he's in the DRS train, so he's losing a little bit less time than you usually would if you would be on the soft tyre. Unless it is just that the softs do last a lot longer around this circuit. It's very, very possible. But all I'm thinking is maybe he knows, alright, I'm in the train, this is where I want to be, so I might as well try and extend it while I can without losing too much, of course. So, yeah, that's probably his thinking. Then he could go for a medium tyre if he really extends it enough. It would be a bit of a stretch and quite pointless, but yeah, we'll see. If he goes into the pit lane now, goes for a severe undercut on the hards, it could work, or I don't think you'd want to try the double medium, really. I don't think it's really going to be that strong. Top two, as they are. Zingy leads the way on lap 13. Will they switch again, and when will they go for the pit stops? We'll have to keep a close eye on that, of course. These guys are the main ones to look at. That's going to be Nifo losing the rear as they go into the braking zone. Surely have to go into the pit lane soon. No, still stays out. Absolutely incredible. Did not expect that one. I mean, to be honest, I should expect it by now. He's just going to keep going and going and going. Heischler very close to the back of Igor, but not close enough to make a move. That would explain why Nifo dropped back a little bit. And Gilly's not that close either. We've got Igor, who's having a quick look to the inside to spot their braking point on their teammate. They do get a time penalty. They slightly extend in the dirty air. Very tough to deal with. That will now put him on equal playing fields with Heischler. Following through in Akron and O'Reilly. Well, Brainerd goes and gets himself a time penalty as well, unfortunately. Staying as they are. All intense when you're so close and when you've got so many karts in the battle as well. And so many different strategies. I say that, there is only three. I mean, there is only three anyway. That is kind of what the strategy is. Gilly is obviously at the back of the train, so that last strategy doesn't seem to be paying off quite as much. Nifo's worked a fair bit, but the top three of this battle, they are going to be having the upper hand, and you can see that they're already having the upper hand. And that is going to be the two teammates switching up. They're still going to go slightly side by side because Peanuts was sticking a nose in. I don't know if that was intentional, if they just maybe were worried about Heischler getting through and they just didn't quite back out when they would have. It worked out eventually, but it was just a little bit of a risk that they maybe didn't need to run. I get the precautions that they were taking there, but yeah, a bit of a strange one. Nifojan drops out of DRS range now, so this will be their call to go into the pit lane. To be honest though, they've done such a good job, they might actually well just go for that medium tyre. And if they go for the medium tyre now, they'll get an undercut. They might be able to defend. They do need to save a lot of energy if they do want to defend around this circuit where it's so difficult to overtake, but it will be such a difficult task to do because that DRS on that main straight is so powerful. Losing the car on the rear, riding those curves, to be honest, you'd probably lose the rear if you rode it that hard anyway, but it definitely shows that he is having more trouble than others. That should be a pit stop, surely. Inbound for this man. That is a 5-second time penalty for Pursoon for speeding in the pit lane. That is not what you want to see in the Grand Prix. He was somewhat in no man's land, but that will still affect his race if he's not careful. Peanuts is going to go through. Heichel's going to stick his nose in. He's going to make slight contact. Didn't get the momentum now, and he will lose the momentum and not going to make that move. Luckily, they're all in a straight line and continuing the right way. So, yeah, all good. A little bit of a dip in the gravel as he's maybe a bit distracted after trying to make that move. Bit frustrated that he didn't get it done, but he's still within DRS and have another opportunity to catch back up. But pit stops will get very, very interesting at this stage. Alrighty, do apologise for the delay. Just going to quickly double check something. There you go, we're all good to go. Now, everything stays as it is. Korsman's maybe pulling a pin here as he's broken away a little bit more than usual compared to Zingy. So, the pit stops are going to be inbound within the next few laps, I assume. Gilly's not going into the pit lane, which I'm surprised at. That being said, 32 laps. We have just passed the halfway mark of the Grand Prix, so maybe they do want to extend a little bit longer, or maybe even go to the soft tyre and try and follow what Nifo's doing, but I don't know. It'll be difficult. That's going to be a yellow. That's going to be Dave Raptors losing the car. He will lose the position to Devon Young. We'll go and check in and see if he got damage from that. He will be at the back of the grid on those fairly fresh tyres. So, yeah, not where you want to be, fresh tyres and at the back of the grid, because you'd have just made your pit stop. Might be able to gain a few positions from the cars in front, but other than that, he's going to be just hard at work. From earlier on, doing such a good job, as well as Devon Young losing out and more momentum lost as they continue. Very easy to do and very, very annoying as well. Igor, 9/10, 8/10 away from Peanuts, their teammate in the podium positions at the moment. They want to make sure that they try and stick with them, otherwise Heichler is going to be pouncing on them mega. And actually, he's going to go straight into the pit lane. That will give Igor DRS, but it will mean that Peanuts is going for that undercut, so he has pulled that plug. Maybe it will cause the other guys to go into the pit lane. That being said, a 13-second gap between these guys and the leaders is absolutely immense. Pursoon's going to put in another fast lap, so that's good to see from him. He's trying his best to catch up to the cars in front. That being said, though, they're not fighting, so they're not going to lose that much time compared to what you can see, a 13-second gap. That is impressive that those guys have pulled to the other cars, and that is Nifo, who has got a bit of company, to be honest. They've done the undercut. They're still trying to work on that undercut. You can see how much Peanuts has actually lost out to these guys. But yeah, 2-second advantage. It's going to be nice to have, and he doesn't actually get too much pressure in the end from Tom Brainer, who's already on 5-lap old soft tyres at this stage of the Grand Prix. He is in a difficult situation, and if it's not so straightforward for Peanuts to get through on Tom Brainer, then, Nifo has possibly pulled off a bit of a masterclass, already losing DRS. Is the German driver. Heischler doesn't go into the pit lane. Igor's going to react to his teammate and try and stay in order. And Pursoon is going to be able to make a position out of that one. So lovely stuff. He's got no problems in front, no dirty air to deal with just yet. Devon Young, 3-second time penalty, unfortunately. Peanuts, is he going to try and go for the move now? He's going to go full beans with the ERS. He does actually drop off as he realises he's got so much more speed. He will be able to get in front, and he will be a fair bit in front as well of Igor. Igor's going to have a bit of time to need to warm up his tyres. He's also got that half to get past as well. Getting a big slingshot was Peanuts, who closes up the gap a little bit to Nifo. And he's not exactly slow either, so Nifo's got some breathing space now, and he can save a bit of energy if he wants, but he's not deciding to. Peanuts, that being said, though, also has a lack of energy at the moment in this Grand Prix, whereas Igor has a lot. So if he can get that slingshot off of Tom Brainer, and then maybe push a little bit after that, that'll be brilliant for him. Tom's not doing a bad job with keeping with Peanuts for the time being. So yeah, if he can catch up to Peanuts, and he can also Tom Brainer can stay with Peanuts more or less. Igor's got pretty good pace in that car, and he does go off. I do apologise for jinxing that. Mollis does get a penalty as he's following Gilly fairly closely. He's on that medium tyre. Gilly, interestingly, waited all that time and then still went for the hard tyre. Heischler into the pit lane. He's going to lose out quite a lot to the other guys. Where's he going to come out? He's going to come out, not behind Igor. He's going to come out very, very close. He will lose the position. But yeah, very close, to be honest. Heischler's done a very good job. He will have cold tyres, so he will probably lose out a little bit. Gilly has lost that position to Morris, who's making a bit of a late comeback right now. No DRS for Gilly though, which will probably help him quite a bit later, but he does need to make sure that he tries to maximise these tyres. He's already used that medium tyre, which means he can't really push fully with the better rubber. So yeah, Wallace is going to have a nice advantage. He is on 4-lap old tyres already though, as he pitted a similar time to Nifo and Pursoon. That is going to be the top two pitting at exactly the same time. They're not going to switch up. Zingy, 2.4 seconds away. Has he had an issue, or is that just because we're in the pit lane and that's like a standard gap? No, he has had an issue. So maybe Korsman was like, okay, Zingy's got an issue. I'm going to go into the pit lane now, make it happen. Zingy, I'm going to follow him. I'm not going to let that happen. Pursoon, a significant undercut. Will he try and challenge the AlphaTauri? The AlphaTauri goes slightly defensive just to cover it off, and Pursoon will not be able to go through. He's going to have slightly older tyres. He went for that undercut. It's worked quite nicely, but Zingy is going to have to push like a madman if he wants to try and get a race win here. And yeah, he is not going to be leading the Drivers' Championship if he finishes in this position. Pursoon will be able to hold on to it. But Tyus Korsman is not over yet. He's still got a long way to go in this race. And Zingy has picked up the pace a little bit right here, so he's doing a good job to get back into it. Peanuts does get by on Nifo. Nifo 6/10 behind, still close, but not as close as he'd probably liked to be. 3.6 seconds is the gap between Igor and Nifo, so he really didn't like that outlap with those cold tyres and being behind Tom Brainer. They do get the job done, of course, but he now has a Ferrari right behind him that he tried to get the undercut on. And he has a lot of pressure. So yeah, not exactly so straightforward and where he wants to be. But the game's the game. It's just how it goes sometimes. There's going to be Heischler making that move. Pretty straightforward on the straight. No problems. P6 in the bag. 4.1 seconds to Nifo Jan though. Nifo with no time penalty. They've got DRS for the car ahead. They've got track position over Heischler. This is looking pretty good for them right now. P5 not bad at all. Lovely 10 points to the bag. AlphaTauri lead the championship, and they will continue to lead the championship if they finish as they are. They will extend it, I should say. Pit stops for Becken, pit stops for Tom Brainer. They're going onto the soft tyre for the final time this race to try and just go for a little bit of glory. They might be able to catch back up and get some points, but it will be a long shot. Tom Brainer actually will definitely have a chance at getting back into the points compared to Dave Raptors, who's on that hard tyre, old hard tyres I should say as well. He's going to be on about 20 lap old hard tyres by the time it gets to the end of this race. Really hoping for a safety car, even though he's got those time penalties. I think a safety car for his sake would be a lot more beneficial with a 16-second gap to the other cars around him. The AlphaTauri not going to be in a position to really challenge for that move. It just wouldn't be worth it, to be honest. They've got a little bit of a way to go in this race, so they might as well work together for now and maintain track position over these two. These two are fighting, so they're only going to help Nifojan right here to defend from them. Of course, with that time penalty as well helping out even more so. Big mistake on the entry for Heischler. They're going it completely wrong. Lost a bit of time for Igor, who got a pretty decent few corners chained up. 3.3 seconds to the cars in front, so they have actually gained overall from when they came out of the pit lane, but they still do have a long way to go as well. They have another 3 seconds to add to that if they want to try and get in front of these guys and finish in front. That would mean they would need to be about 2 seconds behind Pursoon if they wanted to secure those positions over Peanuts and Niffo. So that is a massive ask to try and get that job done, unless Peanuts and Niffo have mistakes, but I doubt they will in their positions. Loving life. In the meantime, Korsman has extended their gap quite nicely to Zingy, so looking to try and secure another win in LSI. They won in Belgium, of course, the penultimate race of the season, and it's looking like they'll do a pretty good job today if they can. It is going to be Gilly and Mollis fighting for position. Mollis making a great comeback in the later stages, as I have said previously. He does have a time penalty. He should have the tyre advantage at the moment. He needs to really make them work while he can, but he's just lost a massive amount of time to Gilly. Has all the confidence in the world through these corners. No time penalties as well. It's only going to help him, and the laps are running out, so he'll be loving it. Absolutely loving it. Devin Young going for the fastest lap, one of those few drivers that have pitted for the softer compound. So they are all trying to have their own fastest lap battle just to take it away if they can. Tom Brainer might have a chance. If they go for it, they would get the point and they would get that P10 points. They'll end up getting P2, or not P2, sorry, 2 points on the board, which is the equivalent of finishing P9. So if he can get that done, that'd be phenomenal, but it's not going to be so straightforward. He's also got Dave Raptors, who isn't that far away, so if he was to make a mistake, it would be absolutely tragic. That being said, though, Dave Raptors hasn't made a mistake of his own, and it's not going to work out. More issues on the rear end, just really struggling. That is the way his setup seems to work. That's going to be Becker making the move around the outside before they go down the hill, so a phenomenal job from him getting that job done. These guys are fighting pretty hard at this stage of the race, even though that's for P12. We could add this into a Drive to Survive Netflix documentary and make it look like they're fighting for P1. It would be an absolutely epic battle. 5 second gap that Korsman's breaking away now. Loves this circuit and is going to once again deny Zingy from winning the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, one of his favourite circuits of all time due to its classic history. We will go back with the other guys that we have spent a lot of time with this race, but you know, it's for a reason. They're all very close together and they're putting on some pretty decent racing. We've got Igor and Heischler. You can see Niffo and Peanuts just up in the distance. They're kind of working together though, so it's not really changing that much. These guys are also working together. It looks like Igor's probably got enough of a gap to to be able to hold on. Heisler's not going to really challenge it. They've got energy to deploy later on to try and fight. So, yeah, it's not really going to affect them too much. They stay as they are. Nifo doing a great job to stay on the back of Peanuts. He's got 2 lap extra tyre wear on those yellow wall tyres. So it is definitely in the more disadvantaged range. But according to the cars behind who have caught up, to be fair to them, he should be pretty much good to go. Even if he can't get past Peanuts, which will be a bit of an ask. But he's doing a great job at actually staying behind. These guys are also pushing. They've not got a massive amount of energy left. That is going to be Dave Raptor spinning at the final corner, and that will be him getting lapped by the race leader. So not the way that the reigning champion wants to go. I think he's going into the pit lane to retire that car or just go for the fastest lap. He will go to retire, which is a heck of a shame. That is both McLarens not finishing today's race. No points for them. A heck of a shame. 2 champions in that team, just not having the best of luck. One with a dodgy setup and one with some technical issues, just didn't work out. Peanuts in P4, only 3.2 seconds behind Pursoon. They could be looking at a podium. I didn't expect that, to be honest. I didn't even realise. Wasn't quite looking at that. Pursoon has the disadvantaged tyre. Peanuts is going to be there. He might lose out a little bit later on if he's not careful, but to be honest, I don't think he's really thinking about Nifo anymore. He's thinking about Pursoon. As we speak, he's almost got that got that time penalty range sorted. So that is a brilliant job, which I completely didn't realise. 6.5 seconds though, absolutely mega from Korsman. He's just picked it right up after the pit stops. Zingy making that mistake, did not forgive him, and it's ruined it. What a shame, but at least he's going to get a podium this time, Zingy. He's got to try and take the positives, of course, from this situation. Soon, regardless, he's looking at still trying to lead the championship by doing this. Even if he finishes P4, I think he would. Igor is going to retire at the final corner as he loses the car. The safety car is going to be deployed and everybody is going to be diving into the pit lane for a final sprint. That being said, would they do it? Would they do it? Will there be enough time to go into the pit lane and come back out again? Beckham is going to be a little bit annoyed. That being said, though, they are right at the back anyway. They're going to stay out and continue. But we haven't got that many laps to catch up, so people are going to have to be really thinking about that one. Igor, what a shame. Fighting with Heisler, loses the car, and that is going to be a safety car immediately deployed. Usually you get a safety car deployed if you have a retirement just before the pit lane. So yeah, that is a heck of a shame. It brings everybody close together. It does mean that there's a bit of an issue, of course, with time penalties, which is always going to be frustrating for those that have them and not so frustrating for those that don't. It will create opportunities for people to make overtakes, make gaps potentially if there's a lot of battling, so this guy might be able to try and recover the podium, but it's actually going to make it more difficult. He might end up losing the podium to Gilly if he's not careful. I think everybody else has more or less got a penalty, so yeah, these guys are somewhat good to go, but yeah, Pursoon is going to be too happy at that one because it almost guarantees Peanuts and Nifo getting past. It is going to be pit stops for everyone. They all decide to go in. Peanuts is going to get a 5-second time penalty as he goes into the pit lane a bit too hot, and Nifo is looking at a potential podium right here. What a way that would be for AlphaTauri to extend. He's P3 at the moment. He'll lose those positions, of course. That is going to be Pursoon actually serving that penalty. So no, he didn't get a 3-second, did he? He only got a 5-second earlier on for speeding. So actually, it is going to be a race on track for Nifo. Nifo is behind Heisler. How the hell did that happen? Did he have damage? I don't think they would have been held up by Zingy. They might have been held up by the pit crew, but surely they were far enough in front for that to not happen. I did not expect that. Somehow lost out to Heisler. Heisler has got a 3-second time penalty. didn't actually realise that Pursoon didn't actually have one once they'd served it in the pit lane. They did lose out to Peanuts on track, but not Nifo, who's had an issue there, which is very, very strange. Did not expect that one to happen. It is what it is. I'm sure we'll get some words on that eventually at some point. But yeah, what a shame there for the Dutchman. What a delight for the other two Dutchmen who gained from that. Horseman will continue to lead the way. Zingy catches up to the safety car and will get a chance to fight with Zingy, but he's got a lapped car in between, which always makes it very difficult. Would Horseman be delightful and allow Becken to unlap himself? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to work out. So, yeah, it's going to be annoying. He wants to try and go into the pit lane again, interestingly. I don't quite know what he's doing. He might have already given up on that one, but I don't know. Peanuts into the pit lane as well. So they're both going in. Peanuts looking to serve that time penalty. Not entirely sure why they're doing that. They're maybe hoping that they can catch up enough and make ground enough, because actually there are quite a few people with time penalties, so he would be able to gain. But yeah, he's going to have to be super aggressive. He'll have fresher tyres compared to a few drivers, so it might actually work out. But yeah, that's going to be a difficult one. It's an interesting call. It might actually work. It's like of a shame for Becken, who will not be able to unlap themselves in this race. They're just going to go for the fastest lap, although they've put on some old tyres, which does mean that they're not going to actually be able to go for that fastest lap. Maybe he just tried to get out of the way of the race leaders, which is very nice of him to do, so they could fight. There's going to be no DRS though, so it is just going to be full beans to the very end. We will go for the restart by the end of this lap. Lap 31 out of 32, just a 2-lap sprint to decide the race. Alrighty, waiting for confirmation. We'll go with the sector line and then we will get that confirmation eventually. Lovely jubbly. Horseman is going to lead the way. Becken is going to get out the way of everyone here and just allow them to make sure that he doesn't hinder them. Horseman, when will he go for the restart? Going to try and get Tom Brainer back to the train. Tom Brainer will get to the train, so he's just about made it and everybody will be here. Alrighty, what's going to happen? Who will win the Imola Grand Prix in San Marino? Horseman restarts the Grand Prix. Zingy reacts very, very well. Is he going to go for the immediate challenge, or is he going to try and go a little bit later? He gets a toe. He's tucking in. He will catch up to the very end of the straight. It will have to be ascend. Defensive goes Horseman. He will stay in front. Perfect job. That is Zingy trying his best to challenge, but he's going to have to wait until the next lap if he wants to get it done. He makes sure that he knows he's there. And soon he's going to have a look at that if he can and try and get a better exit. Heischler's right behind though to keep the pressure on. Despite having that time penalty, he might still want to try and go on track position. Maybe if he thinks that time penalty isn't legit. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to see later on. Nifo and Gilly, they want to try and get through if they can. They could look at a podium if everything goes a little bit, you know, rickety, but it's not going to be that easy, of course. They've only got 2 laps to do it. They'll just split their ERS to 50-50. That will definitely be Horseman's plan, and he'll be able to defend from Zingy. It's so difficult to overtake in the rest of the lap that they only really need to use the ERS for that one straight. Other than that, they should be good to go. Zingy's going to be pushing to the maximum though. He might try and go aggressive on that final corner. It's going to be all ERS. He's actually used a little bit more than I would have expected. Horseman is only going to be able to break away more. And he goes for the fastest lap on the restart. He's looking for maximum points right here. This would be a brilliant, brilliant drive despite having that hindrance of the safety car. Pursoon is looking to try and secure that P3, and I think it might be more likely. Nifo can't get past the Ferrari of Heischler. He will get the position eventually, but it's just preventing him from going for an attack on that P3 position. No energy left for all these guys. They've used it all already, which I'm hella surprised at. I would have expected them to try and save it for the final few moments of the race. It would just be a perfect opportunity to go for that late send. That was a big track extension there for Korsman. He's trying to get it over 1 second just to flex. Niffo goes and gets a time penalty. What a shame for him. He'll lose out to Gilly in the end. That's absolutely crazy. Peanuts also might actually get this. He wasn't able to get anything on track, but he'll be able to get quite a few moves. Anyway, Korsman around the final few corners. What a job. He's defending Mega. That's going to be Heichler trying to make the move for no reason whatsoever. That's going to be Niffo trying to look through. Korsman wins the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. Zingy P2. Passoon gets P3 anyway. Gilly, Peanuts to P5. Heichler to P6. Niffo, Devon Young, Mollis, Tom Brainer and Becken will be at the back of the grid. Korsman, maximum points today. Phenomenal job indeed in the Williams, making it work. Lovely, lovely stuff. How about that? That is round 2 for the F1 World Championship over. Zingy will be not too disappointed with that one, but that is another race that he hasn't won this season. Soon will continue to lead the Drivers' Championship for Alfa Romeo. AlphaTauri will continue to lead the Constructors' Championship. Titus Korsman with Zingy in P2, Passoon in P3, Gilly, Peanuts, Heichler, Nifojan, Devon Young, Mollis, Tom Brainer, and then we've got Becken. DNFing was Pro, Dave Raptors, and Chris Gitsov. I do apologise for pronouncing him Pro. That is a throwback to the old days when I used to pronounce his name wrong all the time. It is actually Pro, so I do apologise. Go for the incident section, then we'll go for the pit stop section, and then we will go to the post-race interviews. We'll see you in a bit. Hello everyone and welcome back to the post-race interviews of the LSI F1 World Championship. We're today for the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We start with Heichler. That was a hell of a race, lots of battling going on throughout. That time penalty did hinder you a little bit. Are you still happy with that race?
Yeah. To be honest, it's really, really fucking hard to keep it within track limits when you're directly behind people. Like, literally in their ass. So
do you think it's dirtier, or do you think it's the view of the track?
The view, definitely the view. If you go into the chicane, for example, you just can't see where the apex is, and that fucked me up multiple times. But yeah, I should have just stayed out on the track, to be honest. But apart from that, I'm not gonna talk about sprint. I learned from that, and I lowered the front wing by 1. And that helped a lot.
Of course. You get to change the setup after the lobby was restarted, so you know, free stuff get into the game.
Front wing can always be changed.
It can always be changed. That is true. That is true.
I only changed the front wing. I only changed that.
Fair enough. So, being nice and following the rules.
Yeah, and front tires, but that you can't usually change as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, to be honest, from P11 to actually P3 on track with a nice overtake at the end. I am happy-ish. Sad that Zingy is now gonna get ahead of me in the standings, but it's not a big gap. So I still think things are possible in the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's only race 2, so it's all good. Next race, Austin. Do you like that circuit?
I have no idea. I've never driven it.
Fair enough. Good to know. Zingy's strongest circuit, and you've never driven it. So
yeah, at least not on this game. Last game I did, but this game not.
Fair enough. Well, hopefully it goes well for you there. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you very much, Heichler. Good effort today, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
And we move on to Gilly. Gilly, the other Ferrari. It was tough, up and down. Fair bit of battling, though. Can you take us through that one?
I gained like 6 places in the start of the sprint race because Zingy was causing chaos.
Yeah, it's a
And
nightmare.
that's it really. Did you see me plow into the wall in the race
I didn't actually. I didn't
on the
actually see.
chicane? There, like before the last couple corners, the chicane before that. I don't know how I managed to do it, but I just plowed into the wall on the right and lost my wing and lost loads of time. But I was sort of matching pace of the cars in front, so I'm happy with that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, it worked. Didn't get a time penalty as well, which definitely helped. Going to the next race, Austin. Do you like that circuit?
Yes, I do actually.
Low traction.
And
What do you like
hopefully
about it?
Rains. I don't know. I just like the corners, you know.
Fair enough. Unpopular opinion. Thank you very much. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Beat my teammate.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. Great effort.
Thank you.
And he has beaten his teammate again. Lovely stuff. Peanuts, I believe again. I'm not entirely sure. Peanuts, well, that was a heck of a race. It was looking like a fight for a podium. Unfortunately, with speeding in the pit lane, it did not go quite to plan. Are you still happy with the recovery after having to make that second pit stop?
I mean, everybody in this league are like super competitive. I mean, even like the thing is, I was not faster than Zingy by any stretch of the imagination, but I was surprisingly close. I mean, I went from like last is where I started, and that was like only 11 seconds behind him, fighting cars. So I mean, or the leaders at that moment. I'm just keep being a ball job, then, if I keep being a ball job, then I'm not going to be champion in the other tier. So that's what scares me. But I mean, it was a good race.
Quite honestly, it's all just experience for tomorrow. So, you know, you're not going to do it again tomorrow. You're not going to get a 5-second time penalty. You'll have it in the back of your mind. So that's, like, to be honest, an advantage. Otherwise, you'd have probably not thought about it, and you might have actually got it in the more important race for your championship, of course. So good luck tomorrow. Next race, Austin. Do you like that circuit?
I mean, for me, it's like Imola. It's into unknown territory.
Fair enough. I mean, thank you very much for today. It was very, very intense at the end. It was a crazy one. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Good pace bottle.
Thank you very much and good luck tomorrow. See you soon. And we move on to Korsman. Korsman, that's another win in the bag. Well done. Zingy was close to you at the beginning stages of the race, but then you kind of broke away later on. Can you take us through your thought process on that one, and also the sprint with a little bit of damage? You still did a pretty good job.
Yeah, so let's start off with sprint. I mean, ahead of me there was an incident, and I couldn't really avoid it. Person spun right into me, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But I think I got away with it well, and Person was indirectly helping me with throwing me along on that one, so that was very nice. In the actual race, I think I was a bit unprepared. I was struggling a lot on the hards, at least at the beginning of the stint. But it was all kind of coming back to me during the race, and especially at the end of the hard stint, I felt I was getting better. And Singy started struggling at the end of the hard stint, and he made a big mistake. He was like 2.5 seconds behind, so I knew that was my time to box. And from then on, it went very well. I was driving very cleanly, very little mistakes, so I was just pulling away. Then at the end, the safety car, which was kind of nerve-wracking, to be honest. Yeah, I didn't want to lose the race after having gapped Singy by 6 seconds. But luckily, I didn't make any mistakes on the restart in the last 2 laps, so I won the race cleanly.
Yeah, it was a lot of pressure, to be honest, so well done. You did the perfect job and distributed the ERS at the very end, so that was brilliant. I didn't even realise that Zingy made that mistake. So yeah, you got to take that advantage. But well done. I guess the sprint helped. Of course, you got a bit more time to try and get used to the circuit, and then yeah, made it work. Well done. Maximum points for the fastest lap. The next race, whether you're going to make it or not, Austin. Do you like that circuit? Do you not like it?
No, not really. I think the racing there is good. You can do a lot of fun moves, but in general, I'm really bad in these kind of flowy circuits where you have to set up for every corner, basically. So it's kind of a big weakness for me.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, I still hope it goes well if you do race there. Thank you very much for some great racing today. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Very good pace.
Thank you very much. Well done, and we'll see you next time. We move on to Tom Brainer. Tom, I don't know. Safety car picked up the race in the end there. Can you take us through it?
Yeah, at in the sprint race, I was pretty happy about P7 at the end, cause I thought I would have like literally much worse pace. Started on P7 in the main race, got spun around in the second lap, so I was behind quite a lot, and then just thought I try a different strategy to test it out for tomorrow. Yeah, and after I got my second time penalty, I stopped focusing on the race because I don't want headaches at this evening. So I just tried a new strategy I haven't tried so far, and I'm pretty happy with P10 at the end.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You got the point in the end, and you got some good experience for tomorrow. Good luck then. Next race, Austin. Do you like that circuit? Do you like the low traction, the mix of high downforce, but also some long straights?
I would say it's a mid-tier track for me. I definitely like it more than Imola, but it's not as high up as some other races or racetracks. So I have to see how well it will go there. Maybe a point here and maybe some good points in F1.5. And so it be.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's at the start of the season, so the race will be out the way if it's not a popular one. But it's good to hear that you somewhat like it. It used to be a hated circuit, but yeah, it's up there now. Thank you very much, Tom. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Nice training, I guess.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow. Good luck. And yeah, thank you. And we move on to Zingy. Zingy, that was a tough race. What happened with that mistake? We didn't quite get to see it.
Are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, talking about the mistake before the pit lane.
I can't remember. I made so many mistakes. Yeah, it seems as though I was the centre of everything in that race. I mean, the sprint race, obviously, you know what happened. I've seen it from multiple angles now, and I don't believe it's my fault. If you don't believe me, you can watch it back and see for yourself. But I think I have a reason to take the corner there, but that's up for debating. But the rest of the race, of course, everyone else that was as quick as me had damage or was far away, so I was able to just cruise to the win. And then for the actual race, the hard tyre pace was phenomenal. It was great. I was keeping up with Law. I didn't have to try that much. And then I got into the mediums and everything just kind of fell apart, and the same with the softs. The softs weren't as bad as the mediums, but still, I actually couldn't tell you what happened.
You think it's tyre temps?
No, definitely not. The tyre temp. Well, I didn't check, but you can kind of feel when the tyres start to get overheating. So it's something that I need to work on, and I don't know how I'm going to fix it, but I'll figure out a way.
Fair enough. I mean, it's a motivation to fuel the fire, of course. Very strange to see you struggle on a set of mediums. I don't think I've ever said that sentence before. But yeah, it is what it is. You just got to move on to the next one, which is Austin. Your circuit.
Oh.
You own the circuit. Are you looking forward to that one?
I am very looking forward to that one, because seeing Flaw's lack of pace there, and just everyone else seems to struggle there, and I seem to come alive, and especially with this new game, the hand-on model just really alludes to my driving style, and I think that could be my first win of the season, which it feels weird saying I'm rent-free, but we got to start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you closed up on the championship today, so fair enough. It's on its way. It's looking good for the next race. I hope it goes well there. One last question. How would you describe your race in 3 words?
Everybody loves me.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Well done today. Great job. And that has been it. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. We will see you tomorrow for the F1.5 EU Championship. We'll see you next weekend for the USA Grand Prix. 1 of 3. The other 2 aren't actually going to be in it, so it is the USA Grand Prix for the LSI season. We'll see you then. Thank you very much, and good night.